In Mark chapter 10, verses 46 to 52, we see Jesus heals Bartimaeus, a blind man in Jericho, who sat by the roadside begging. On hearing that Jesus was passing by, he started crying out, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." When Jesus called him, the evangelist Mark tells us that Bartimaeus threw aside his cloak, sprang up, and came to Jesus. When Jesus asked what he wanted to do for him, Bartimaeus answered, "To see." After he received his sight, he followed Jesus on the way. Let's look at the spiritual meaning for this beautiful passage. The blind man who was sitting by the roadside was able to see Jesus and identify him as the Son of David, when many others around Jesus and throughout the gospel who weren't blind were not able to identify who Jesus is. Despite his blindness and sinfulness, he was able to identify him by faith when he experienced Jesus passing by him. Yes, Bartimaeus represents the Gentiles who were saved by Jesus' mercy when he came and visited their cities and healed them. But the blind man also represents many or all of us who at some point were sitting by the roadside, blind, unable to see the way. We are meant to walk on the way, not just to sit by the roadside and beg like the blind man. And that way is Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life, whom the blind man followed when he received his sight. Mark tells us that when the blind man heard that Jesus walked or wanted to talk to him, he threw aside his cloak, which represents his old life with all its sins and filth. In the letter to the Hebrews chapter 12, verses 1 and 2, it says, "Let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking at Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith." So we also are called to run the race and to look to Jesus. That's exactly what Bartimaeus did when he received his sight. He no longer sits by the roadside begging, but he started walking on the way, looking at Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith. And may God bless you.